Coach McDonald said that you have a pretty laid-back demeanor off the field, but when I guess the lights come onto a game, you're like the Incredible Hulk. What is, how would you describe what that switch is like for you?
Yeah, I think it's just passion and competitiveness and love of the game, honestly. I'm laid back a lot, like around the coaches, because when we are around them, it's film and it's studying, so it's time to focus up. But in the locker room, I'm kind of one of those characters, and so on the field, I'm kind of just being my natural self out there.
Have you always kind of had that persona or just kind of fire when you get onto the field?
Yeah, because I remember back in high school, like it's game time, and a lot of players kind of like sit down, and everybody kind of prepares differently. Some would like sit down and be real quiet or whatever. But for me, I can't really do that. I'm more of like a just upbeat guy, which is how I am like throughout the day. And so just kind of being my natural self and just letting it correlate to the game time.
What's next for you this season after what you did last season?
Being a leader on and off the field. And just kind of helping bring up the guys behind me or the younger guys up to the standard that we live by here as a Cyclone. So.
Coach McDonald said that, all the accolades you got last year, you still look at it and say, I did okay. Where does that humility come from, and how much does that fuel you just for future success, taking another step?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm my biggest critique. And so, accolade, I'm obviously honored and humbled to receive the accolade, but at the same time, I know better than anybody else what I need to improve on. And so it's just kind of like staying steady with that stuff. I don't let a negative critique bring me down or a positive critique, overhype myself. So I just kind of staying neutral.
Where did you feel like you evolved over last year? Because it was, really the first time that you'd spend extensive time at safety at the Power 5 level. So, what did you feel like you really kind of built on and improved?
Honestly, I think it's just knowing the game as a whole from the safety position. Because transitioning from quarterback, at junior college I played safety, but just when you get to this level, it gets a lot more complex. And so just having like a defensive coordinator like Coach Haycock and having all the assistant coaches, man, it really just helped me take my game to the next level, just understanding football as a whole from the defensive side.
Braxton said you're competitive in board games.
Yeah. He introduced me to a sequence, and so started kind of battling at that during a bowl game, and so ever since then it's kind of been like our game that we play.
How intense do you get? I know you said you step into the locker room, get onto the field, you get pretty fiery, but do you notice that same competitive edge or fire coming out even when you're sitting down and playing a board game with him?
Yeah. Especially just because it's Braxton. We just joke around a lot and talk back and forth a lot, so it's really it could literally be anything, and we're competing against each other, so it's a lot of fun.
With how open the safety, it seems like there's a lot up for grabs, a lot of playing time up for grabs with young guys. What do guys like Lawrence and Terrace and Arnold need to do to try to claim some of that?
I think it's just building trust with the coaches, showing that they can go in there and be consistent. A lot of those guys are players, and so a lot of it is just getting reps and having the coaches be able to see them and let them do what they do.
I know last year you talked about how you'd been kind of blown away by how quickly you were accepted. As a new guy coming in, Braxton said there was a play you made, I think, in practice that kind of made people gravitate toward you. Took a receiver down at the 1 yard line. Do you remember that play? And just kind of how you probably really felt like, okay, I'm in this group now.
Yeah. Honestly, I really felt like I was in it when I first got here, and that's honest. That's the honest God's truth. Whether I made plays or didn't, I still felt like everybody had my back. But I remember the plays talking about. I think it was just a good play on the field, kind of got the defense going, and everybody just rallied up. So obviously felt good.
How good is your relationship with him, and how integral was he in helping you feel that welcome?
Yeah, I've said it before. It was huge, man. It's huge having a guy like that on the team that's kind of like the anchor and the heart and soul, and the guy that's always doing what's right and willing to take people under his wing and do that no matter if it's at safety or any position. He's just a guy that he'll welcome you into the program, and I feel like that's a true description of like how we work here and how we operate here as a team.
Are you guys roommates?
Are you guys roommates?
No, we're not.
When did that play Braxton was talking about unfold?
I think it was our first spring scrimmage last year.
Okay.
Yeah.